Dr. Joe McGinley. This is the McGinley Difference podcast. Exciting podcast today. This is Clinic at the Club. We are at ClubMX. I'm here with Ryder Malinoski. We're going to be chatting with him a little bit about his riding coming up to the race season, as well as, the accident that happened in Anaheim, and then getting into that recovery and incredible race this past weekend. So, Ryder, great to have you on the podcast. Great to be here at Club. This is my second time here. Incredible place. I already got a swim down in the pond. Incredible facility. No matter what you like to do, this is the place to be. So before we get into all the exciting stuff, let's start back at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about your preparation coming into this season and what your expectations were.
Yeah, I would say my expectations coming into the season for the SMX Next Supercross was to be a podium guy and win races. And yeah, we tried doing that at A2. Didn't go the way we wanted, but that was the expectation.
Good. We'll get into A2 in a second, but you're training here at Club. What's been your experience? How's it been? You have Chad Reed as a coach. You have all these tracks out here. You have the facilities. What has your experience been training here?
It's been wonderful, man. I've been here for, I would say, close to 4 years now, and to see this place grow has been insane. It's growing every year, and yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, we've just become part of the program just a few months ago, and it's been great working with you guys. It's been fun cheering you guys on, that's for sure. The whole team's been incredible. This past week, seeing all the riders there, the entire team was there. That was great to see. Very fun, lots of excitement around the team and seeing that grow. But you get to ride with the factory teams out there. How does that feel? And not only the club riders. I was walking around here. There's other pros that are here all the time riding, and you get to ride with them. So that's got to be a great experience as well.
Yeah, it is to ride with guys like Kyle Peters and Cade Clayson, other pros training at this facility. It's amazing. Yeah, we've had some really good riders like Jason Anderson, Jorge Parado, so many good guys, and to watch, just all the different levels and all the different experiences of pros, it's awesome.
Good. Okay, so now we're getting into the season. The 2026 season's coming up. You're ready to go. You're one of the top prospects coming up through the SMX Next Series. We get to Anaheim, right? So first race of the season at Anaheim. What were your expectations? How'd you feel getting out there on the track?
Yeah, expectations, for the first race of the season was just to go out there and execute every session, every time. And I would say the expectation was to be on the podium. And yeah, I would say it was going to be a good weekend.
Okay. Well, there was some action in the practice session. I was actually on race day live when the practice section action was happening, but then we get into the main event, right? So you're out there in front of the crowd and everything else. We were actually up there in the stands watching. Gate drops, everyone's ready to go, first race of the season. What happened down that front rhythm section?
Yeah, I put myself in a probably 5th or 6th position and hit a triple, and a kid hit a double right in front of me, and yeah, it was a bad deal, probably the worst of the worst that could have happened, and I ended up landing on him, and yeah, had a big crash.
Do you remember anything from that night?
I remember some of the stuff before the crash. After the crash, it's a little foggy, but yeah, I do remember how the day was going before, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, we were there watching, and our heart stopped when we saw that. You were laying there on the track, not moving for several minutes, and, we were thinking this is a catastrophic injury, what's happening down there. They stopped the race. They obviously red flagged it. They had the medical crews out there, and it took, I think the race was stopped for almost 30 minutes until they got that going again. That's probably one of the longest stoppages I've seen. They got you up and going and then got you to the hospital. Remember getting to the hospital at all?
I remember being on the stretcher, getting out of the stadium, and then getting in the ambulance, and then honestly, kind of from that, it's still a little foggy. So.
Gotcha. And then the major injury at that time that everyone knew about was the hip dislocation. So you dislocated your hip. That probably didn't feel too good. Concussion, obviously, as part of that. You spent the night in the hospital, went through a whole bunch of tests. Next morning, how were you feeling?
I was pretty sore. I wasn't moving too much, obviously. Was kind of, just in the hospital bed. But yeah, I wasn't moving much. And yeah, we were tired and sore, yeah.
Yeah, I bet. I chatted with your dad that night, and the good news was it was just a hip dislocation, no other major injuries that we knew of at that time. The concussion, obviously, but no, major catastrophic injuries that were going to keep you out forever. So that was the best news. And at that point, then I started chatting with your dad about how we can get you taken care of. So they got the imaging studies, and then they discharged you the next day from the hospital, correct?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So they discharged you, and then you guys flew right out to Casper from California, right? And then got to our place on Monday. And then we took a look at the images, and then we saw a couple other things that are a little concerning, specifically your back. So there were a couple of vertebrae that looked like they may have been broken, but were you having any back pain at that time?
Honestly, no, just because the hip was kind of taking over it. Yeah.
Yeah, that hip was pretty impressive, but yeah, when we saw the images of your back, it was a little bit concerning. We ended up getting an MRI, and you actually had two vertebrae that were partially fractured. And it was good we caught those, because that, of all the things you had, that could have been the most serious potential moving forward. So we came up with a treatment plan. Your scapula was broken. You had a couple of broken vertebrae, the hip dislocation, which, they realigned. You actually walked into our office, which was impressive. And when I first saw you, you still had the googly eyes a bit, which was a little bit interesting. But yeah, so we got you fully diagnosed at that point, and they came up with a treatment plan. We spent like what, maybe an hour or so, 2 hours at our office at that point.
Yeah, I would say that's correct.
Yeah, MRI, a couple other things. We ended up treating it with PRP and some biologics for the hip. So we treated the hip directly, biologics to help with the healing elsewhere. And then we didn't let you walk out at that point. We got you in a wheelchair because of the hip and back, and got you out appropriately from the office. So after all that, then what are your thoughts? You're flying back. You went home for a bit, right? And then came back to club. What were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, I went home for a couple weeks, Minnesota home, and yeah, just laid really low. Didn't do much the first couple weeks at all. Just sat on the couch and watched movies, and yeah, just at that point, I was just like, all right, this is going to be a long healing process, but I was just grateful that it wasn't worse, and yeah, we were okay.
Yeah, we were thinking it's going to be several months, even with the biologic and everything else. We thought for sure you're going to be out for about 3 months or so. I kept calling Mike B, and your dad say, don't let it, I kept telling him he's going to feel good. Make sure, you tie him down. Don't let him out there riding around. I need him off his feet. We need this stuff to heal. How well were you cooperating those first few weeks?
The first few weeks I was cooperating quite well. I would say I actually was, very lay low and just knew how serious it was. But then once I started feeling good, we started just, pushing the limits a little bit. But that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, I started getting some of the leaked information at that point. I think we were probably at about week 3 or so. And Brandon spilled the beans a little bit that you saw you in the gym a few times. And yeah, I was on Mike about that a little bit, saying, let's make sure everything's good. I know you were feeling great. So you started feeling good probably like, what, 3 weeks or so afterwards?
Yeah, I would say 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive with all those injuries. So then we got you doing some light activity at that point, but still not on the bike. And then we're coming up to about 5 to 6 weeks afterwards, and that's when we got the repeat imaging. By then, I heard you were cheating a little bit more at that point as far as everything in the gym, but you were ready to go at that point, right?
Yeah, I was. I was just feeling my body, and I was working really hard. Every day, just doing as much as I could with what I had going on, and yeah, we made good improvement. I would say, yeah.
Good. Yeah, so we got the repeat imaging so we could officially clear you and take the leash off and get you back out there. And, it was actually rather impressive. The vertebrae were 100% healed. The scapula was healed. The hip looked really good. It wasn't 100%, but it looked really good. You felt stable. You had zero symptoms at that point. And I think, again, you were ready to go probably 2 weeks earlier. So we then released you. And that was only about 1 week ago. So 1 week before the Birmingham race is when we released you. And you did a couple days on the turn track and then back to Supercross, right?
Yeah, literally a couple days on the turn track and then a couple days on Supercross. And the second day on Supercross, we weren't really sure if we were racing, but we had to make a decision, and it was the only way I could do Philadelphia, and we said yeah.
Yeah, that was the surprising part. So I was speaking at the SMX Next, and I got the roster for the riders, and I saw your name on there, and I was like, oh, this has to be a mistake. So I emailed the guys like, hey, Ryder's on there. Like, yeah, they didn't take his name off. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I texted you, and I said, hey, your name's on the list. Is that correct? And you're like, yep, I'm going to do it. So yeah, I chatted with your dad, I chatted with Mike, and they said you were doing well, and you know the risk associated with this, and you felt good, which is the main part. You had no symptoms. You were out there riding. It was comfortable. The hip was good. So you went and did it. So we were out there this weekend. We saw you before the race. Again, I gave you my 2 cents on the whole situation, and the goal was to just get you qualified for Philly, right? So you said you were shooting for like a 13th or 14th, correct?
Yeah, I knew I had to get top 13. Yeah. Yes.
Right, and that's what we were hoping that you were going to try to do. All right, but so you qualified, looked like you were going, according to the plan in qualifying. Then the gate drops are the main event, and then we were sitting there watching that, and I could tell by your body language that was no longer the goal. So gate drops, what happens?
Gate drop happened, and I put myself in probably, I would say, 5th or 6th. In the first 2 corners, I actually, got some good passes right away and cut off a lot of the track. And yeah, I put myself in like 5th or 6th, and then from there on, I'm like, I'm already in the position I need to be in. Let's just, click our laps and, we'll just see where we end up. And yeah, I ended up in 3rd.
Yeah, you were in that third place position, and I saw you staring at second place from the crowd. Like you could feel it, and then yeah, you could tell when you decided to play it safe and get that third place finish and get on the podium. But man, that's impressive from where you were at Anaheim, only 1 week back on the bike with those injuries, getting treated, and then getting a podium. I mean, that had to be exciting, right? I mean, that far exceeded your expectations.
100%. Yeah, the goal wasn't to even get a podium, but to get the podium, and I knew I could, get a result like that. It was insane, to have that, to overcome what happened to me at A2. It was huge, and to have the people behind me to help me do it was just awesome.
Yeah, I was so happy when that race was over. I got to tell you, it was one of the most nerve-wracking races I was ever watching. But great job out there. Great to get back at it. Now you have Philadelphia coming up. You have a couple other things, right? So big announcement. You're going to be up in Canada for the Canadian Motocross Series, and then you're also planning for Loretta's, correct?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Any pro nationals at the end of the season?
We'll see. I mean, it's gonna be a lot of racing this summer. So if we fit it in the schedule, that would be awesome. But no, I just want to keep busy, keep racing, keep getting better, and that's what I plan to do.
Well, that's really exciting. Any comments about your experience out at the McGinley Clinic? I know a lot of people, you have to travel out to Wyoming, so people are sometimes skeptical about doing that. But when they come out, it's usually a different experience. What was your experience like out there?
It was awesome. I was super cool to see the place you guys have, and I loved it. Had a great time. Obviously, I was still a little googly eyed when I went, but I remember all of it, and yeah, it was a great time. It was pretty cold when I went there in Casper, but no, I love the facility. Loved it's yeah. You got to go there. You got to check it out to actually see it, and yeah, it was awesome.
I don't know about cold. It was in the 30s here today, so might be a little bit warmer in Casper right now. Well, Ryder, again, congratulations on your success with the team, fighting through this injury. Trusting us to take care of you and get you back out there, and then pushing through and getting that podium. So we'll be cheering you on the rest of the season. Got one of your jerseys. We're going to put it up on the wall of fame there with all the other riders that have been out there. So that's going to be pretty exciting. I'll send you a pic of that when you get out there. Any other last comments or thoughts before we get going?
No, this was awesome. Happy you guys are out here at ClubMX. Check it out, and yeah, no, it was sweet.
Good. We won't hold you up anymore. I know you got some training to do. You're heading over to the gym, and then you'll be on the track this afternoon, so we'll be checking that out. Ryder, congratulations. Great to see you back out there. I'm Dr. Joe McGinley with the Clinic at the Club on the McGinley Difference.